Is that your take when you speak to these guys and women behind the scenes that they are, is there any honesty? Do they acknowledge that they would like to do something?
Well, I think many of them do. I get in trouble for saying this, but I get on, we have very different views on a lot of things, but I've always had a straight relationship with the Republican leader, Mitch McConnell. He's a guy that when he says something, he means it. I disagree with a lot of what he says, but he means it.
Now that video would have been deeply annoying and disappointing if it was from a year ago or even 2 or 5 years ago, but I want to be very clear that just happened during the negotiations that are ongoing right now about gun control. Joe Biden picked Mitch McConnell of all people specifically to cite as the person who, when he says something, you can take that to the bank, which is who he is actually representing and working for. And so Jordan, we're gonna give people updates on what actually passed the House because something did actually happen yesterday. In just a moment, we're gonna get to that. But, and we've got optimistic video of some progressive lawmakers who seem to get guns and all of that. But Joe Biden, I mean, he's like, what are you supposed to do with this guy at this point?
I don't understand why he's still trying to push this myth that he can reach across the aisle and make things work. Like he's still trying to lean into that, and it's just it doesn't work. We knew that before he got elected. I mean, we knew that in the Obama years. Mitch McConnell was a guy who set out when Obama was elected to make him a one-term president and to block every single thing that he did. That's who he is. So sure, when he says something like that, he definitely means it. But he's not somebody who's going to try to cooperate, especially on an issue like this where there's so much lobbying and there's so much industry money backing key Republican figures in the Senate. There's no traction to be made here on this issue because anything, even the most modest, tepid response to gun violence, McConnell's going to kill it. And he gave Trump a pass his entire tenure. I don't know how anybody in the Biden administration still with a straight face can say, oh, this is a rational guy, which is what they said like last week. I'm just mystified by this whole thing.
Exactly. Now look, what he's saying, what he's doing, what he's always done is tell us that if we're just nicer or more reasonable or whatever, insert an adjective or whatever, they will come over and they will be reasonable. It's you radicals that are driving them apart. That's the only reason Republicans are never part of the solution. So let's draw them in. Okay, so they've been trying to do that. The House put up legislation, nothing radical in terms of gun control. Let's see how successful the strategy has been. So the House just yesterday endorsed some of the most aggressive gun control measures taken up on Capitol Hill in years. That makes it sound aggressive. The context is what the Hill would allow. So they want to raise the minimum age for the purchase of most semi-automatic rifles to 21 and ban high-capacity ammunition magazines. That's the most aggressive gun control legislation we've had. Saying you can still buy your weapons of war, you just have to be at least 21 to do so, and you can get high-powered ammunition that can absolutely devastate human bodies and penetrate police body armor. You just can't put as much of it in a magazine at the same time. You can have it, you can blow away like multiple cops, but not like 30 cops at the same time. That's what passes as the most aggressive thing. Okay, so they went, like if you could read my tone, they went pretty mild with it. And the vote was 223 to 204. That was just hours after a House committee had the testimony of Mia Cirillo, an 11-year-old who had to camouflage herself in the blood of her dead friends to not be killed by a person wielding one of those weapons like a week ago. They had the parents of people who died in that shooting. And for all of that, the bipartisan push and the reasonableness and not going too radical and the testimony of the people who just recently slaughtered or nearly slaughtered, they got 5 Republicans to join the Democrats. 2 Democrats, by the way, voted no. So I'm gonna deduct that. They got 3 net votes that went their way. And even in that, it's more depressing than you might think. Of the 5 GOP votes that crossed over, only 1 of them is seeking re-election. So 4 of the 5 could do it, but only because they're done with politics, I guess. And among the Democrats, one lost his campaign for renomination last year. I don't know if that influenced it, but that's what we got, by the way. And we got commentary too. I'll end with this. Jim Jordan said of that bill that only raises the age and reduces the total number of bullets you can have at any one time. He said, in short, it tells Americans, law-abiding American citizens, when they can buy a firearm, what kind of firearm they can get, and where and how they have to store it in their own darn home. A direct attack on Second Amendment rights. And I have to agree with him. In the wake of all these mass shootings, and also the pre-wake of the mass shootings that will happen today, the most egregious thing about all of this is that they want you to have to lock up your gun. Come on, that's an inconvenience. Not the mass shootings, those aren't inconveniences. Having to lock it up, having to reload a little bit more often, Jordan, those are the true inconveniences.
I mean, that really highlights the issue of intent and design of these things, right? Like the justifications that some of the Republicans have trotted out have been around, oh, we need these to kill raccoons or prairie dogs or other sort of varmints. And you don't need a high capacity magazine to, to kill a raccoon. Like one bullet's gonna do it. You don't need 30. And it's weird that this is something they're going to hold their ground on. On the Democratic vote side, I mean, one of those votes that went with Republicans was Henry Cuellar, who just a week ago or 2 weeks ago in a really tight race in Texas, the top Democrats in the House were doing robocalls for him. They were doing get out the vote events for him over a progressive Jessica Cisneros, Justice Democrat, who has a much different stance and better stance on gun control. So I don't understand why Democrats are clutching their pearls over the horrifying, just grotesque Republican Party when they're protecting and supporting a guy in their own party who votes with them on a pretty basic thing like this. And it shows that there's industry and NRA money behind him as well. So I wish they would kind of hold their own party to the same standard, but they won't. They just hate progressives more than they hate people who defend this cycle of violence.
Yeah. 100%. So look, that is super depressing. Chris Murphy still thinks that they're going to get more than 10 Republicans on the Senate side. Maybe. I hope I'm wrong. Like I desperately, I have my kink is hoping that I'm wrong politically. That's all I want in my life. And Chris Murphy, he's a good guy on this issue. Like he says the right things on this issue. Come on, man. Like you're Biden, basically. You're giving me malarkey at this point.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.